I am so glad to have one of my favorite organizations here. I've got Sue Fu, Public and Media Relations of Vitalent. I am so glad you are here.
And I'm so glad to be here.
I'm going to tell you that I'm going to share my story, and then you can laugh uncontrollably. I am deathly afraid of needles. I mean, the little ones, the big ones, whatever it is. And I went to my doctor, and my doctor said, well, the only way to get over your fear is to do it. So I said, okay, I'm going to give blood. Now, I can't give the which one is it that takes half a day or whatever?
Oh, just a half an hour extra. Is the Power Red, because you have to weigh more and be taller to be able to do a Power Red donation, but you're probably great to do a regular whole blood donation, which is what most people do.
Right, but at where I give blood, I just want you to know, everyone knows me as Irma the Screamer. Here she comes. Yeah, don't pay attention to her, especially the new people donating blood, because I don't care how many times I've given, and the same person pokes me. I now have my favorite, and she pokes me, and it doesn't matter whether I'm meditating, whether I'm breathing, whether I had a heavy breakfast and it should make me fall asleep. I always scream.
My goodness.
Every single time. It never fails. And I get white, and I roll my eyes, and they have to put the chair up with my legs up. But do you know why I do it?
It's fear. It's
no,
just fear.
I
Why?
give because it saves how many lives? It saves 5 lives.
You mean why you donate? I thought you meant
Yes.
why you scream. You can save up to 3 lives with a single blood donation.
That
So
is why I do it.
I can't think of any other way that you can make as big an impact in 1 hour of your time than by giving blood. It's tremendous accomplishment to be able to do that.
That is exactly why I do it. I don't do it for the prizes. I do it because I know that it's going to save a life, and you're affecting people without even knowing it. All you're doing is giving of your time and your blood, and it's so critical here in Arizona and throughout the nation. But first of all, Sue, I want to know what got you into Vitalent.
Well, actually, I'm the longest term employee in the donor recruitment department for Vitalent, which used to be known as United Blood Services.
Yes.
A lot of people don't know, first of all, that United Blood Services is nationwide, and we had about 9 other blood centers that were part of our organization that had different names. So last fall, we all came out under one new name of Vitalent, but we're the same great organization that people are used to. But the way I got started 32 years ago, believe it or not, I started when I was 10.
Exactly.
I was a blood drive coordinator at where I worked, and I did a really great job, I guess, on recruiting blood donors.
Mm-hmm.
And so my representative that I worked with said, hey, we've got an opening for a rep to organize blood drives. And I was working for the prison system at the time, as in the main office, doing, publications and fundraisers for United Way and all those kinds of things. But blood drives was one of my things, and so I applied for it and got the job. And I've been pinching myself ever since, because it is so wonderful to be able to do something for a living that makes you feel like you're making such a huge difference. And the work is interesting. The people who work there are wonderful. I continually get to meet people who have been saved by life-saving blood transfusions, and it's just very fulfilling. In fact, it kind of reminds me of a story that my mom told me the first time that she gave blood. And when I first started working for the blood bank, my mom was like, oh, I don't like you donating the needles and stuff. I just, that kind of bothers me. And I said, well, Mom, it's so easy, and you should give it a try. And I never could get her to try it. But one day I called her up. I was recruiting blood donors at a mall blood drive, and I was working with a Kiwanis Club to help me recruit donors. And my mom had recently gone through a breakup with her boyfriend and was kind of depressed. And I called her up and I said, Mom, you need to come down shopping because there's all these single men down here that you need to meet that are working with me on the blood drive. So she came down. I'd long since forgotten about asking her to donate, but suddenly I look over and my mom is giving blood. And it's like, what gives? You never donated before. I never could talk you into it. And she said, well, I read something in the paper this morning, and that was that whenever you're feeling low, you should seek somebody else out and help them because it does two things for you. One is it helps you put your own problems in perspective.
Exactly.
At least she wasn't lying in a hospital bed with
Right.
a serious illness or disease and the other thing it does is makes you feel great and gives you a lift for doing something so kind to someone else. And I just love that way of looking at it because truly, when you do something that's so impactful, it really does make you feel good about yourself. And what in this life gets you further than self-esteem and pride in being a good person?
Whenever I go to the blood drive, I to the place, I don't give at work because people would hear me scream all the way from the blood mobile into the building. They literally would. And I always tell them, when are you guys going to have a date night? And they said, what do you mean? I said, you know how you go around and meet this person and this person for like 7 minutes and then you switch? Because if I'm dating, I want to know, hey, you're clean because you can give blood, and the rest is history. I mean, because two people, oh, I'm so sorry, Michael, I'm so sorry. Two people that are running and giving blood, they run a test on them to make sure that they're clean. So I love that because your health is automatically checked, and the fact that you're giving blood to help save another life. So it's just an idea you might want to think about because I think that could be a new concept for finding your loved one.
You never know. In fact, I've heard stories over the years of people meeting at a donor center or a blood drive and winding up getting married. In fact, last summer I met this donor. We do a car raffle every summer, which of course we just kicked off here on May 24th. Our summer car raffle began, which we'll be talking about. But one of our finalists for the car last year told me that his first date with his wife, who he'd been with at that point more than 30 or 40 years, they'd been married a very long time, was he invited her to donate blood, and they went and they donated blood together. And now, all these years later, that is their date that they do. They always go to our Mesa Donor Center and they give blood together. And I just think that's just such a wonderful thing to do. And that's probably one of the reasons why their marriage has lasted so long, is because of the kind of people that they are.
Right. Now, I did want to talk about the different types of blood types, and you guys take any type of blood, which is very, very important in the summertime and during the holidays when there may be a shortage. Can you go over the different blood types and what the Vitalant takes? Not just because they also take, is it not the plasma, but
So blood is made up of several different components. When you think about coming in to donate, most people give whole blood, which is just the blood as it comes out of your body. But there are three main components that patients receive via transfusion from your blood. There's red cells, there's platelets, and there's plasma. And in a whole blood donation, you're giving whole blood. We take it back to our laboratory. We spin it in a centrifuge machine, which causes your blood to separate into layers. And then we can make 1 unit of red blood cells, 1 unit of plasma. Typically, a whole blood is separated into plasma and red blood cells. But we also have some special automated donations where people can give what's called apheresis or a max donation, but that's where right at the time that you donate, your blood goes into a bag in a machine. It's an entirely closed system. Your blood never comes out of the bag or touches any machine parts, and it's spun inside the bag, inside this machine, separated on the spot, and then we collect the desired component, red cells, platelets, or plasma. And that's a very important distinction because depending upon your blood type, the component that helps patients the most will be different. And there are 8 basic blood types, 4 basic blood groups with a positive and negative within each. So for red blood cells, O positive and O negative are the 2 universal blood types that can be substituted for other blood types. O negative, it's 6% of the population has it, but it can go to anybody. So you can imagine in an emergency or trauma situation, somebody's, bleeding to death. Doctors give them O negative to sustain their lives immediately because they know that it's compatible. O positive is almost as universal because it can go to anybody with a positive blood type, and that's 85% of the population.
Wow.
So if you are an O positive or an O negative donor, your red blood cells are very important because you're the universal blood types for red blood cells. In contrast to that, plasma, which is really interesting, the universal donor for plasma is AB positive and AB negative. In fact, there's no difference when it comes to plasma whether a patient receives positive or negative. And people receive plasma when they have severe bleeding. Plasma has those vital clotting factors that prevent you from bleeding to death. So if you have a bleeding disorder or you're bleeding profusely, doctors will give you plasma transfusions to try to make your blood to clot. Now, finally, platelets. Platelets are so very important. They're not type specific. We like all blood types to give platelets, although we're hoping the O-negs out there especially will stick with the red blood cells. Platelets don't need to be matched by blood type. However, they are the most perishable component of whole blood. They're needed by cancer and leukemia patients. Platelets live for just 5 days after they're donated.
Wow.
So you can imagine how difficult it must be to always have enough platelets on the shelves for those cancer and leukemia patients that need them after their chemotherapy treatments. So platelets, we need a regular supply of platelet donors every single day to make sure that we're always readily stocked. So the moral of that story is that no matter what your blood type is, whether it's common or whether it's rare, that's not what's important. What's important to know is that your blood type has a unique role in the life-saving process. So we're looking for type O donors to give red cells. We're looking for type AB donors to give plasma. We're looking for A and B to give platelets. And, and if people can't take the little extra time to do some of those automated donations, we welcome their whole blood donation because, red blood cells are the most commonly used blood component. We go through about 15,000 red blood cell donations every single month in our region, which is Arizona, Southern Nevada, and Las Vegas. 15,000, and there's a humongous need. And so we need more people to come out and donate, especially in the summer when donors are in such short supply.
Well, and I like how you don't even know how you're helping people. And I love that because, first of all, that speaks that you have character, that you're willing to just take a few minutes out of your life to help another life. I think that speaks volumes, and so what are the qualifications to give blood?
So there are lots of qualifications, but the most common ones are you need to be at least 16 years old. If you're 16 or 17, we do need written parent permission. We have what's called a minor donor permit that people need to sign, to have their parent or guardian sign. You need to be in general good health. So if you're currently suffering from a cold or a flu, not only would it not be good for you to give blood because your body's building antibodies to fight that off, but we're not allowed to take your blood if you're not 100% symptom free from a cold or flu. And if you're suffering from an active disease or an active infection, you probably can't donate. But there are lots of things that don't prevent you from donating blood. And a lot of people think just because they've are taking a medication or something that they can't donate. But in fact, unless you're taking a medication for an active disease or infection, chances are very, very good that you're eligible to donate blood. Maintenance dose medications are generally fine. Those would be things like birth control pills, vitamins, hormones, thyroid medication, high blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication, painkillers, and antidepressants. All of those things are fine and do not interfere with the blood donation process or the ability for a patient to receive your blood. You do need to weigh at least 110 pounds. And we do have some additional height and weight requirements for donors who are under the age of 23, and that's because their bodies are still growing and their blood to body ratio is slightly different than people who are, full, adults.
Right.
And then other things that might prevent you from donating blood. Of course, if you're pregnant, your baby needs the blood so you have to be 6 weeks post-pregnancy. Cancer patients need to wait at least until 1 year after they're cancer-free. Used to be cancer deferred you for 10 years, but most cancers now are 1 year. There are some exceptions to that, but it's always worth checking with us just to be sure. Diabetics can donate blood. A lot of people don't know that. Even the insulin medication does not prevent you from giving blood. So what we encourage people to do is just check with us. You can call our number and ask to speak to somebody about donor eligibility. You can email us at pr@vitalant.org, and I can send your question to a donor eligibility expert. But just check with us.
And your website is great.
It is. There's a lot of
answers
information.
All of the questions that are going to be covered in this interview, and then some. I mean,
Right.
and it's very friendly.
And we want to make sure that people aren't just self-deferring. So when people ask for qualifications, I'm always reluctant to give too much detail because oftentimes there's a lot of ifs, ands, or buts depending upon your own unique situation. So just call us or make an appointment and stop by a blood drive or donor center and ask your questions because chances are very good that you can donate. There's no upper age limit, so we encourage healthy people at any age above 16 and above to donate blood. And, it's a pretty simple thing to do.
And the other thing that I like is you always have contests.
Oh, we do.
You always have giveaways. and the one thing I love about giving blood is at the end, you're allowed to eat cookies.
Guilt-free,
And
might add.
Free because you need to restore yourself. And it is just, I love those cookies. And, you're allowed to eat chips and they bring you water. It's almost like a day spa.
Well, you lose a pound when you give blood. So all of those cookies and chips are guilt-free on blood donation day. And of course, it's important to rehydrate, and it is important for people who are thinking about giving blood the first time that they have a meal before they donate, something at least within the 4-hour time frame before they donate, because you don't want to donate on an empty stomach,
Right.
and you want to make sure you're well hydrated when you arrive. So be really conscious about how much water you're drinking to make sure that you're coming in tip-top shape to give blood.
So I noticed, though, that different organizations have blood drives. Like my work, they actually promote it a month in advance, and the van is there. How many companies do you actually go around and do that for?
Last year, we worked with 1,426 organizations throughout Arizona to host blood drives. Blood drives bring in about 60% of our state's blood supply. So it's very important that we go to locations and make it really convenient for people to donate blood, because inconvenience is one of the top reasons people cite for not giving blood. How can it not be easier if they're coming right to your church or your school or your place of business and host a blood drive? So we're always anxious to hear from groups who might want to have a blood drive. You need to have probably about 100 members to have enough donors to host a blood drive. Um, at least 20 people that are interested in donating for us to come to you. But we also have 6 donor centers across the valley. We've got one in Mesa at Gilbert and Hampton, one in Chandler at Dobson and Elliott, North Scottsdale at Hayden and 83rd Place, Glendale at 59th Avenue and Union Hills.
That's my favorite.
Yes, it's one of our. It's fact, it's our busiest donor center. Phoenix at Bethany Home Road and Black Canyon Freeway Access Road, and then finally in Goodyear at Litchfield Road and Indian School.
And so let's get back to the giveaway.
Oh yes, we've got exciting things coming up.
We've got to be able to talk about the different promotions. So go ahead and tell us.
Yes.
First of all, your last one and how successful it was.
Well, our last one that we did was with Pizza Hut. We're so honored to be able to partner with Pizza Hut because they're statewide. And during the Memorial Holiday Week, Pizza Hut thanked every single blood donor across Arizona with a voucher for a free Hershey's Ultimate Chocolate Chip Cookie. It serves 8 people.
Oh my God.
And
what a sugar high.
oh, but it's delicious.
Yes,
I
it
had to
is.
sample it, of course, while I was talking about Pizza Hut. It was just really wonderful. And then on May 24th, we kicked off our annual, this was our 15th year of doing it, but our annual Summer Drive to Save Lives. Every year, we are just so privileged to partner with the Valley Volkswagen dealers. They pitch in, all 7 of them, and they donate a brand new Volkswagen for us to raffle amongst summer blood donors. And we start the campaign Memorial Holiday Week, and it runs through Labor Day Holiday Week because, of course, the holiday weeks are our most challenging time. And during that time frame, we draw 10 finalists. And those 10 finalists will come together the first Wednesday in October at our grand prize ceremony. We'll go through a Deal or No Deal game show. And one of those donors will end up with a key that starts one of 10 Volkswagens in our parking lot, and that person will be deemed the winner. And it's just very exciting. And
I can only imagine.
yes, it's this year's
Is
car.
it an electric car?
No, it's not an
okay.
electric car.
It's still
but
brand new, though.
It's one of Volkswagen's brand new limited editions. It's a 2019 Volkswagen Passat Wolfsburg edition. It is loaded. Let me tell you, it's got a moonroof. It's got backup cameras. It's all power. It's so pretty. And that's the car that we're giving away this year. And what's also very nice about our Volkswagen raffle is that, you know, we want to make sure that that person who wins the car gets outfitted in the Volkswagen of their dreams. And Volkswagen makes so many different models. They have SUVs, they have family cars, they have Beetles, and everything in between. And so the winner can take the value of the prized car and apply it towards any Volkswagen in the showroom. And anyway, so it's a great way to get outfitted with the car of your dreams, and it's a wonderful way to thank a deserving blood donor. So come on out and donate. We draw 10 finalists during the summer, and one of our finalist categories is teen donor finalists. So we're looking for you get an extra entry if the teens come out in summer to give blood. You get an extra entry if you give one of those automated donations that I talked about earlier, where we're isolating red cells, platelets, or plasma. You get an extra entry if you're a goal-making blood drive coordinator. Oh my goodness. And we also have a couple of bonus entries for people who take the time to register their code on the Volkswagen website, or even drop their bonus entry card that we give them in a raffle box at a Volkswagen showroom.
That's pretty exciting. And this is going through Labor Day.
Yes, well, actually, the campaign runs May 24th through September 6th. And people can find out more information about the Volkswagen campaign on our website, which is vitalent.org. That's Vital, VITALANT, vitalent.org, and we've got lots of information about the car raffle and things going on in addition to that right now. If you give an automated donation at one of our 6 Valley Donor Centers, we'll thank you with a voucher for a free Whataburger.
I love Whataburger.
Yes, they are so delicious. And then, of course, we have Arizona's largest blood drive coming up on July 7th, which is packed full of thank you gifts simply because it's the largest blood drive to rebuild blood supplies following the Independence Day holiday. That will be from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Tempe Center for the Arts.
Which is really close to here.
It's very close, and we're looking for 500 people to come through the Tempe Center for the Arts in one day. And if you've never been there before, it's a beautiful venue right there along the Tempe Town Lake, and we will thank every donor at that blood drive with a voucher for 2 free D-Backs tickets,
Nice.
also a voucher for a free Whataburger. And then one of the 10 finalists for that Passat, that Volkswagen Passat, is going to be drawn from among the participants on July 7th at Tempe Center for the Arts.
Nice.
So it's one of your best odds of being drawn to win the car.
I wish I wish I could be there. I always put in, but I never win. But I feel like a winner because I give the gift of life.
But you know what? You could win because someone's got to win it. Why not you?
That's true. But I'm in just because of the sugar. I love the chocolate chip. I mean, I know that sounds so bad, but so what I wanted to emphasize is that what are some of the stories that you have gotten because of blood donation and how it has affected? Because I know when you go to donate blood that they have posters up of people saying thank you for this.
Well, first, I probably would like to start on a personal note because in the time I've worked for Vitalant, formerly United Blood Services, 3 of my immediate family members have required blood transfusions. And the first was my father back in 1990. In the 1990s. Mm-hmm. And he, on Christmas Eve, had a heart attack. And during the most difficult week of the year to maintain our state's blood supply, he went to the hospital and went through emergency bypass surgery.
Wow.
And during my dad's surgery and the weeks that followed when he was in intensive care, my dad required transfusions from 15 people. And he used red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. Mm-hmm. And because of those 15 blood donors, my dad lived another year and a half. And
that's fantastic.
That's something that is, you can't replace time with a loved one.
Right.
And then secondly, in 2011, my mom and I were at a farmer's market.
It's
Sorry.
Okay. No,
and she fell and hit her head.
Oh, no way.
And we took her to the hospital, or the ambulance did, and she received 4 plasma transfusions to try to stop the internal bleeding. Mm-hmm. And my mom didn't survive.
I'm so
but
sorry.
Those 4 platelet donors gave my mom a chance.
Yeah.
Without it, she wouldn't have even had a chance.
Right.
And so that was important that day for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, 2.5 years ago, my brother had a blood vessel hemorrhage, and he used over 2 dozen transfusions fighting for his life in the hospital. And,
wow.
Every time I turn around, we'll all know somebody eventually who needs blood, and there is no substitute for it. So you just have to
think about
donate, because it's the blood on the shelves that saves lives. Mm-hmm. And so you can't wait until someone is lying in a hospital bed to donate. You have to keep the blood supply ample and readily available, because it has to be there when the patient arrives at the hospital. And, my mom, who the story I told earlier about how she had such a hard time overcoming her fears about donating, when she passed away, she was already a 2-gallon blood donor.
Wow.
And so that day that she gave the first time and realized how easy it was something that started a habit for many years to come. And then eventually, she did end up receiving blood transfusions. But we hear stories out in the community every day. In fact, most people would be surprised to know that for the 62 hospitals that we serve in Arizona, nearly 600 blood donors are needed every single day to meet the needs of those hospitals. At the Valley's two largest children's hospitals alone, about 1,500 blood transfusions are given every single month, and that's to kids.
Wow.
Who should be out playing and with their friends and,
just enjoying life.
But they're in the hospital and fighting, devastating illnesses and diseases, and so it's something that's so important in their life. But it doesn't matter whether it's a kid or an older person. Nobody should have to worry about blood being there for them should they need it, and it's such an easy thing to donate. It's just, 1 hour of your time. In that 1 hour, only 5 to 10 minutes of it is actually donating blood. The rest of the time, you're getting a free mini physical. You're having juice and cookies. You're finding out your blood type and getting your cholesterol results. There's lots of good things that happen to reward you when you donate blood. But the best one is how good you feel for saving someone's life.
And that's exactly why I do it, because you can't. In my opinion, it's just a good way to just do good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I do it. I've been told, and I went and saw my doctor. Michael, you're going to have to open the door because I'm like burning up. I'm sorry. He'll edit that out. Sorry. Anyways, when I give blood, and I went to my doctor and I told him, well, I've been giving over 5 years and I'm still freaking out. And he goes, I don't care. Keep giving blood. Because he knows my true intention, and it is so worth it. And I go home, I take a nap, then I eat more spinach, and I'm good for the day.
Mm-hmm.
Because they tell you to, take some iron or whatever. But I just love your organization because it really does save lives.
Thank you.
Over and over again. The other thing that I like that I don't think you guys do it anymore. I used to receive a calendar for every month, and it would say, thank you, and then your name in a different format on the calendar. I have it at my work with my name all over it. Well, number one, I want people to remember my name, but that's beside the point. But I just loved how you guys took that to the next personal level, thanking that participant for doing that.
Yeah, over the years, we've had a lot of different ways that we thank donors, and we used to do those calendars, and they were really special. But now we've switched over to what's called a rewards program where donors earn points because, what we're finding is that,
different people have different needs.
Strokes for different folks. And, some people love to have, a T-shirt to wear, and some people love to have, a restaurant gift card, or some people like to shop on Amazon. So now when you donate blood, we reward people for frequency. Your points are awarded on a 12-month rolling basis, and you can redeem those reward points for movie tickets, gift cards, apparel, different things, whatever it is that appeals to you the most. And it makes it really easy to try to personalize it so that we're thanking donors in the way that is most meaningful to them. And, and it's great when we see somebody wearing a shirt that, promotes blood donation or something because, it's reminding people that, I've got to contact Vitalant and make a blood donation appointment. And by the way, our scheduling site is still bloodhero.com. So people can go to bloodhero.com, put in their city or zip code, find either a donor center or a blood drive in their own neighborhood, make an appointment, and make it easy to donate.
There's no reason not to.
Right.
It's so convenient.
And it doesn't hurt. I know we've talked a lot about fear, but I just want to make sure that people realize, that's just fear. That's just your mind doing things to you.
Right.
The actual donation feels about like getting your annual flu shot.
Right.
But, some people build that up to be more than it is in their head. But it's just a tiny little pinch. Actual donation is 5 to 10 minutes. And it's super simple to do. And I'm not asking people to do anything that I haven't done myself.
Right.
I'm given blood over. I think I'm up to 35 times. I had to quit for a few years
Right.
because I wasn't eligible for a few years. But now I'm eligible, and I try to donate at least a couple times a year, and encourage other people to do the same.
And I want them to, I want you to state how many people have been affected with blood donation. Do you know?
So,
Numbers-wise?
numbers wise, I mean, I'm not sure which statistic that you're zeroing in on, but there are, if you stop and think about that, we need 600 donors a day, and that most donations are separated into 2 to 3 components depending upon what it is that you've donated and what your blood type is, which kind of breaks down to, every single day we make more than 1,000 transfusions out of that blood, and it goes to local hospitals. So, there are probably 1,000 or more transfusions done every single day in Arizona, and it's easy to think, well, I've never known anybody who's needed blood, and maybe I'm more aware of it because I work for the blood center. It's it's
Right.
just like when you buy a new car,
Right.
and you think, I've never seen that car before, but then as soon as you buy it, you see them at every intersection.
Right.
It's something that until it's been pointed out to you that someone in your family or a friend is needed a transfusion, you may not think much about it, but in fact, blood recipients are surgery patients, accident victims, cancer and leukemia patients, people with rare blood disorders. There are so many different kinds of
Right.
patients that need transfusions. It's actually kind of alarming at how a blood transfusion is a medical
Right.
treatment for so many things.
Well, I do appreciate you coming here, and remember that you can go visit their website.
Yes, I'd love to be able to just let people know how they can sign up. You can call us at 1-877 excuse me, let me just use my cheat sheet here
It's okay.
because it's a number, 1-877-25-VITAL. That's 1-877-258-4825. So that's our phone number. You can go to bloodhero.com and make an appointment, or you can go to our website, vitalent.org, and there's a button to click on Donate Blood. Or you can just Google Vitalent, or if you can't remember what our new name is, Google our old name, United Blood Services, and it'll lead you straight to Vitalent. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere. So please, please, just try to find us. Summer is the most difficult time to maintain our blood supply. And just one quick statistic on that is that teens are our largest donor group. And you can
Wow.
imagine if teens give 20,000 donations during the school year and it drops down to a few hundred during the summer, that's the impact it makes when the schools go in their summer recesses. So it's really important that additional people step up to donate blood to help fill the gap until the schools are back in session hosting their regular blood drives.
Well, again, I thank you for being here, and remember to be kind to one another.
Thank you.